As always, they are flooding the zone. There's so much shit going on that they're pushing from the White House, from the Trump administration, that it's hard to keep up if you don't follow this channel and other channels like mine. It's hard to keep up as like a regular person. You know, you go to work, you go home, and 100 things happen while you are at work. We're going to talk about Trump joking about running for a fourth term. Tom Homan basically saying, shut up about ICE or die. Patriot Front was in DC and they got a really crazy picture on that. And then there's been insane military propaganda going on. So we're going to get to all that. But before we get to that fascist stuff, we're going to talk about some Trump news and just some major news. So here's JD Vance claiming that, yeah, Watergate compared to now wasn't that big of a deal. Guys, mind you, Watergate was a massive conspiracy by Richard Nixon, the sitting president, to get reelected. There was about 5 people that were arrested for tampering with the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. They attempted to break into the DNC and wiretap everybody's phones in the building. Obviously, they got caught, and Richard Nixon had to resign. If I'm not mistaken, the only president that ever had to resign because of a controversy. This is the biggest corruption event in American history until Donald Trump. But here's JD Vance saying, wasn't that big of a deal.
If Watergate happened tomorrow, it would be like a 12-hour news story. Like, the idea that it would have taken down a presidency is crazy.
The vice president making headlines with observations on the Watergate scandal that resulted in Richard Nixon's resignation. Vance did not address the range of crimes that started with a 1972 break-in at Democratic Party headquarters and the cover-up that sent top administration officials to prison and forced Nixon from office at the urging of Republican senators. Vance went further to compare Nixon to President Trump.
If you look at the story of how the deep state took down Richard Nixon, it's not all that different from what the same groups of people, the same institutions tried to do to Donald Trump in the first Trump administration. There is a parallel.
Dude, nobody tried to take down Nixon. He tried to cheat in an election and he got caught. Nobody tried to take him down. The deep state trying to take him down. Shut the fuck up. So here is bigot, racist, sexist, just a weirdo. He's a weird guy, Jesse Waters. Promoting and joking about military soldiers raping women. By the way, the Republicans claim they're the party of Christian family values. Let me know if this sounds like your Christian family values. Let me know.
He says you lose your endurance, muscle mass. So, yeah, I want these guys on it. But you know what's going to happen? The guys that don't need it are going to take it. It's a triple boost.
Right.
And then they're going to get out there. And women on base, you guys better be careful. Yeah. Port calls, women in Asia, you better be careful. Because these guys are going to be wild animals, and you better watch out.
Okay.
Low two.
You should have held his hand.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would have.
So not only is that insane, promoting rape of women by soldiers, this guy's like entire like persona is just based on racist shock comedy, I guess is what you'd call it. I don't know. Just shock. Just say the most shocking thing possible to get clicks, to get views, to get attention. So people clip this and they talk about it on CNN. It's the same type of like shock comedy that like Kill Tony does, which is just say something insane and people like nervously laugh because they don't know how else to react. Listen to the Fox News. Mind you, this is Fox News anchors. Listen to their response to this.
You should have held his hand.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would have.
Oh, Dana. He says.
So even the Fox News hosts are disgusted by Jesse Waters, as they should be. Don't worry, I'm going to do an entire smear video on this freak. This is the MAGA movement, you know, promoting and laughing about rape. So here is a Christian nationalist MAGA pastor. This is just another example of the Christian nationalist movement happening in this country.
I see it as our household vote, and that half of my vote was stolen from me in women's suffrage. And so my wife votes but she votes alongside me.
Correct.
She votes my vote because what she's doing is, as a woman who fears the Lord and as a submissive wife, she's saying, evil men stole half of your vote and gave it to me, and I'm giving it back. I see it as
I really want to know what makes somebody this delusional. Not true at all. Women had to fight for their vote in women's suffrage because they were not allowed to vote. I talk about it all the time on my channel, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, on my YouTube. These type of people and this type of mindset and ideology is on the rise, and we have to be careful before it really does turn into like The Handmaid's Tale, where women are only in this country to reproduce. That's it. That's kind of their attitude towards women. It's kind of fucking weird. So here is Trump calling the housing affordability bill, which will make housing more affordable. Pretty self-explanatory. He calls it a yawn.
Mixed opinions on it. Here's what he said about it.
It's a bill, but when I look at the Save America Act, it's about saving America. It's a yawn. Some people say it's wonderful. To me, compared to...
So I want you guys to realize that the President of the United States does not give a fuck about you, and he calls affordability a yawn. He does not care about that. He does not care about increasing rent costs, does not care about inflation, doesn't care about any of this stuff, guys. He literally says it's a yawn. No exaggeration. Like, imagine if Biden said that. Dude, Fox News would run that for the next 6 months and be calling for impeachment. But in the Trump administration, in the Trump presidency, it's just another day. Just another day. On the Zionist movement happening in this country, Finance Minister Smotrich of Israel saying that, we love that America is fighting our war for us.
אני אגיד ככה, כרגע למדינת ישראל אין אינטרס להצטרף למערכה. המצב הנוכחי שבה יש מערכה מתוחמת בין איראן לארצות הברית הוא הנכון והטוב ביותר לנו. צריך לזכור שמטרת העל שלנו במערכה, וזה לאו דווקא משותף עם ארצות הברית, זה לערער, להחליש עד כדי הפלת המשטר.
And he just said the quiet part out loud, which is we are going to let America, the United States, destabilize the country so we can come in later and overthrow the regime. That's literally what he just said. And as long as America's fighting the war, he said that, we don't have to get involved. We don't need ground troops. We don't need to bomb them every day. You guys are doing it for us. So that's fucking fantastic. Our tax dollars are going towards helping Israel fight their Greater Israel Project war. Meanwhile, I have arguments in my comments about where are we going to find money to pay for free school lunch. It's right here, guys. Stop fighting Israel's war for them, and we could actually pay for kids to have free school lunch. We could pay for affordable housing. We could pay for free universal healthcare, which, by the way, Israel has free universal healthcare. Speaking on Israel and the Zionist movement, here is what happened in the House recently.
Massive defense spending bill, historically large at $1.15 trillion for an effort to deepen the military cooperation between the United States and Israel in unprecedented ways, binding the country's two militaries even more closely together. If it goes into effect, the Pentagon would appoint a so-called executive agent to synchronize the cooperation with Israel across different areas, including missile defense, drones, AI, and more. It would combine research efforts, development, testing, and integration into U.S. military programs. Essentially, this would move beyond just sending Israel American-made weapons. Instead, it would move towards building defense technology together. And all of this at a time when public support for Israel here in the U.S. has fallen sharply. That's according to public polling. And it has created deep divisions among voters in both parties. Republicans in Congress are standing by Israel's side. But in a separate and stunning vote in Congress earlier this month, around half of all Democratic lawmakers in the House voted to end the $3.3 billion of annual military aid to Israel. That measure failed.
So I want us to understand what exactly happened. Democrats and Republicans passed a bill that said we are going to combine our military technology with Israel. We will now share military technology research. I hope you guys realize we just signed up for a forever war in the Middle East. because now Israel's wars are our wars. And as if you know anything about Israel right now, they are attacking all their neighbors, Jordan, Lebanon, obviously Gaza and the West Bank. They are attacking Lebanon every single day. They're committing a genocide in Lebanon. So we're just going to help them commit the genocide in Lebanon, apparently. We're going to continue the genocide in Gaza, continue the genocide in the West Bank. Who knows what's next, right? So here's some Trump news for you. They had another correspondence dinner, and Trump had to sit through Wolf Blitzer calling him out about the Epstein files.
Relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit,
look at how he smiles about this shit, too. It's really sinister, evil shit right here, man.
The Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address.
Dude, they're cheering about that, too.
Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continue to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal.
White House teleprompter operator allegedly made nearly $100,000 on Kalshi bets on Trump's speeches. So he was betting on what Trump would say. Meanwhile, he's the one that is operating the teleprompter. Totally not corrupt at all, though, right? So here's Trump at the World Cup after Spain won the FIFA World Cup, and he is just fucking gone, man. He has like ultimate like main character syndrome, and I get it, he's the president, but dude, not everything is about you, especially when this is a completely other country. I would get it if this was like the United States or Canada, like one of our close allies, even Mexico, but this was Spain. Spain, the country who he called out and said, yeah, let's just stop trading everything with Spain. Let's just end all trade with Spain. And then a few months later, look at this. He's like, get off the stage, bro. Like, seriously, not everything is about you. This picture needs to be in the history books. This is a black woman riding the DC Metro with Patriot Front members. Patriot Front, a white nationalist right wing, I would call them a terrorist organization. I'm not sure that the FBI and Homeland Security does, but white nationalist terrorists riding the subway with a black woman. And look at her face. She's like, what the hell is going on right now? And before this, they marched around DC. I think it was on July 4th or 5th. They marched around DC. All these Nazi LARPing nerds walking around with masks. I thought masks were pussy. I thought masks were woke. I thought masks were a sign of weakness. Meanwhile, Patriot Front and Proud Boys, obviously the Klan covers their face and ICE covers their face. Why? Because these people would be ridiculed and run out of town, as they should be, if we found out who these people actually were. That's why they cover their face. Because they're pussies. They're scared to show their face because they know what they're doing is fucked up, is wrong by most people's standards. So here's Trump at the correspondence dinner. I think he's like high as fuck off something. Whenever Trump gets really loud and excited, I just assume he's on some sort of uppers, like he's on something, because usually he's not this energetic and loud.
I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it.
So, I'm not sure he's joking. He's been saying this basically since he won. Like, this is not new. Okay, he's never, I don't think, ever put on a Trump 2028 hat. Other people have. He's had the hat in the background of some videos, but I don't think he's ever worn it. I don't think this is a joke. Take him for his word. And if we can't take him for his word, why the fuck is he the president? That means we can't trust what comes out of the president's mouth. We don't see that as a problem. I don't think a president should be joking about fascist dictator shit. I know, crazy concept. Crazy concept. I don't think this is something we should be joking about. And we'll see, in 2 years. We will see if he was joking or not. I hope so. So just more fascist military propaganda shit. They've been flying jets over civilian areas. And Pete Hegseth tweeting out the flyovers will continue until morale improves. This is like bread in circus, right? When the Romans would give people bread in circus and gladiator fights to keep them entertained. Keep the peasants entertained. And this is not safe. And you don't believe me? I have never served in the military. Okay, cool. This guy has.
From Pete Hegseth, who says keep flying flyovers. So talk a little bit about that incident and then what you do afterwards, if anything.
Yeah, so every flight we do, whether it goes incredibly well or we don't have the best flight, we look at it and we debrief it every day. During yesterday's circle and arrival maneuvers, one of our pilots found himself over the beach line, over a crowd in an unsafe situation. The safety of our flight demonstration, the safety of the crowd that goes out there and watches it every day is the utmost of what we do.
A captain in the Air Force saying, yeah, that was not safe at all. And how many times have we seen these planes, these helicopters crash recently during military trainings? We probably shouldn't be flying this close to people. Just, crazy concept. By the way, just completely wasting taxpayer dollars by doing this. And lastly, here is the goblin that is Tom Homan, the head of ICE, basically saying, tone down the rhetoric or people will continue to be shot and killed by ICE. He basically said, shut up and comply or die.
These people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country who don't necessarily agree with this administration says you always comply with law enforcement. But the
comply or die.
Hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs that were resist. ICE are let's abolish them. They're fascists.
Yep, absolutely. If there's a illegal immigrant that is so dangerous that we need to break into their house or catch them while they're going to work or whatever, send the FBI. We don't need an $80 billion agency to terrorize Hispanic communities. We don't need that.
When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that left population that it's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement agency. I should resist them. All they had.
Yeah, go ahead and Google how many ICE agents have been shot in the streets in America. It's literally zero. No ICE agent has ever been shot in the streets. I can count about 6 people in America, citizens or immigrants, that have been shot in the streets by ICE. So which one is really the more radical, dangerous?
Do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what
comply or die
law enforcement did you, then go to the courts, sue, call the ACLU, do whatever you want to do.
You can't when you are locked up in an ICE detention center where you're not given a phone call, not given access to your lawyer. And don't tell me that's not happening. It is happening. Just Google it. Guys, Google is free. I say that a lot. Google is free. You can just Google this shit. They are arresting U.S. citizens and not giving them their rights to a lawyer, to a phone call, to a just due process. So this is very disingenuous.
We should always comply with law enforcement. If they did, they'd be alive today. Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself and wait for it to play out.
Guys, he's literally saying comply or die, right? Masked men stop you in the streets and tell you to get out of your car. You just have to do it, apparently. Regardless if they're ICE agents or anybody else. Again, we don't know who these people are because they don't have badges. They don't have identification. They have masks. How are we supposed to know if they're really ICE agents? Like, this guy, Tom Homan, is putting these people in bad situations by doing that. You should take the mask off, ban masks. Nobody should be able to wear masks. You should have required body cams on all ICE officers, and they should always be on. Like, it's just gonna magically, conveniently be turned off when something happens. Or it wasn't working, or it was dead, they forgot to charge it, or it turned off right before something interesting happened, and then it turned back on after it happened.
This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the negative, hateful. And I said this a year ago: if a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. And I'll tell you something else: it's not over yet. Unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me? And I'm not saying the whole country is convinced, but there's going to be that population that's just going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid.
Yeah, kind of like the ICE officer did something stupid in Houston when he shot a Mexican man, who apparently is a violent wife beater, somehow got a job at ICE, and then he shoots a Mexican man in the streets. Kind of something stupid like that, huh, Tom?
That we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another folded flag.
They've never buried an ICE agent. No ICE agent has ever died in America from gunshots. I think there's been some ICE agents that like died from COVID and things like that. There's been an ICE agent that died in around the border of Mexico, I think in Mexico, but no ICE agent has ever died on the job by a gun in America. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to bury an ICE agent. Oh no. Oh no. Dude, we've had to bury 6 people. I think 5 of them have been US citizens. This is insane.
To a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of Congress,
quit. Just quit. If you are so scared and so worried about that, quit.
to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said it 1,000 times. If they're a Nazi for enforcing the law, what's that make them? They wrote the law. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws they wrote, and that they appropriate us money to enforce.
60 billion extra dollars, yeah, to just shoot people on the streets, apparently.
Now, I'll say it once again: if ICE agents act inappropriately or illegal, they'll be held accountable. Just like they were held accountable in Minnesota.
Dude, this guy's like half drunk. He can't fucking talk. We have literal clown goblins running the country.
Just like they were held accountable in Minnesota. Everybody.
Who was held accountable in Minnesota? Didn't they just transfer that ICE agent to another city? He didn't get charged with anything. He didn't even get suspended. He didn't get fired. He just got moved to another city. How the fuck is that accountability?
ICE agents are mom and dads too.
How embarrassing would that be? Like, yeah, what does your dad do? He's an ICE agent. Huh? Would never talk to somebody again if I found out they're in ICE. How disgraceful. Like, history and the history books will look back at this time and say, yeah, ICE agents, they were kind of like Nazis, rounding people up that we don't want in the country and sending them off to detention centers where they die. There's been over 50 deaths this year alone in ICE detention centers. Could arguably call them concentration death camps, but that's just the beginning. 50 deaths is just the beginning. And I'm sure it's way more than that. As they are lying about the deaths in Iran and with the Iran war, they're probably lying about ICE deaths too.
Attacking the ICE agents, attacking their spouses and children, and no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country.
Because you're a Nazi?
Country is pathetic and it's disgusting.
Oh, big boy mad. Big boy mad. Look at the walk-off.
Because I'm enforcing laws in this country, it's pathetic and it's disgusting.
It's pathetic and it's disgusting. Go back to your fucking cave, Goblin.
Thank you, Mr.
So I have a question for conservatives, Republicans. You guys are supposed to be, apparently, the party of fiscal responsibility and small government and, right, like saving money, right? You guys, that's what you guys are all about, right? That's what Doge was all about. That's why you guys all got so horny over the idea of Doge coming in and slashing all this fraud and corruption and waste of money. Yet Donald Trump is responsible for 22% of the national debt. Okay, he's already spent more than Joe Biden ever spent, over $8 trillion. And we are spending $37 billion on an illegal, stupid war And the Pentagon is asking for $67 billion more dollars on top of the already historic military budget that we have of over $1 trillion. And ICE got a $60 billion budget increase. They now have $80 billion to work with. They are the highest funded law enforcement agency in the country. $80 billion. But you guys are supposed to be the party of like small government. What is small government about an $80 billion ICE agency? I would love to hear it. Trump spent what, $15 million on the reflecting pool that they had to drain it again. We're spending about $1 billion on a ballroom, apparently. Ballroom bunker drone headquarters. Like, I would just love to hear from MAGA Trump supporters, like really saving money in this administration. There is a very scary, concerning, dystopian thing happening in this country right now, and that is flock and flock cameras. I've talked about this in the past. What is flock cameras? They are license plate readers who then track and store that data every time you pass the camera. Okay, it records your license plate, records the color of the car, the make of the car, what time it went there, all that stuff, right? And it keeps it in a database. And this is a private company with access to millions of Americans' information. But as Flock expands, they start to build more cameras, and they're starting to build them off of the streets like playgrounds, private pools, and bike paths. There's no license plates at playgrounds, private pools, or bike paths. Interesting. Why is this happening? A lot of people are upset. They're saying, why is Flock recording me while I'm at the pool with my kids? And people are saying that this is a violation of their privacy rights. I absolutely agree. That's weird. That's fucked up. And the scary thing is there has been reports of police officers using, because they are working with local police departments and sending them this information and allowing them access. There was a police officer that apparently stalked his ex using flock cameras. Great. Fantastic, right? This is like late stage capitalism at its finest, right? Private company working with local police to violate the average American citizen's privacy rights. Okay. On a scarier note, a lot of people around the country, they are obsessed with Flock right now. And so here's an example of it. Somebody figured out that these cameras are actually able to track your Bluetooth on your phone. So every time you're around these cameras, they can pin you, and they can then build a database of the Bluetooth on your phone. And I was thinking of this a while ago, and I never made a video about it, and I should have. Flock is kind of like the first massive surveillance LPR company, as far as I know. But I knew they weren't going to be the last. I knew somebody was going to come in, and there's going to be competition, and they're going to be better than Flock. And here we are. Axon releasing a Flock alternative because Flock is so unpopular right now among local communities that they're building an alternative. Axon releasing a Flock alternative that attaches to street lamps. It's called Light Post.
I'm also excited to announce that we are working with another industry leader, Ubiquia, to turn streetlights into smart ALPR and live streaming cameras. Without having to add a single pole in the ground, this partnership accelerates deployments and turns existing infrastructure into intelligent, interconnected tools for public safety. Now, streetlights can do more than light the street. They can protect it. We call this Axon Light Post.
They're not going to protect shit. They're going to spy on you. I personally think this is the scariest part of Flock and Light Post and all these things, all these license plate readers, is that they can listen to your conversations now because they have microphones. So your city is now listening to your conversations. Flock's Raven microphones are watching and hearing. And it's like, watching can only do so much, right? I'm walking to the store, I'm going to work in my car, whatever, like great. But now as you're walking down the street, it will listen to conversations. You don't know if it's on or not. And I'm assuming it will be on. You're probably asking, why are there microphones on a license plate reader camera, right? It's to detect gunshots, apparently. That's what they tell us. That's what they tell us, is we're trying to listen for gunshots. If we hear gunshots, we will then send that information to the police. Apparently it's making us safer. But as we all know, technology like this is always abused. And that's probably the biggest message that I want to send to everybody is we need to ban these things and vote against these things before there's a flock camera or a light post camera on every single corner, maybe inside your apartment complex, who knows, maybe inside your apartment next. Where is the limit? Where is the line that we draw? Where is the line that we draw? We don't want private companies listening and watching us, and we especially don't want local police and the government listening and watching us. We have to draw a line at some point before this gets out of hand. Thank you for tuning in today. Like this video if you want to see more. Join the movement, the anti-fascist movement that we need right now. Because now is the time to form communities before shit really hits the fan. I feel like it's going to get way worse in America before it gets better.